Hello, everybody. Welcome back into Scousers Abroad. It's Jack and it's Ta, continuing our discussion segment on the most important matches in recent Liverpool history.
Every match is an important match from here on out.
We said that, I think, after the international break, that basically here on out, it's finals from here on out. And it's lived up to that. We're on deck today, Manchester City versus Liverpool, round 1. Benfica versus Liverpool, round 2. And looking ahead to the second round of Man City-Liverpool, and then Manchester United versus Liverpool at Anfield. I mean, it's a mouth-watering array of fixtures. Ta, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I think, just check. Yeah, it's still there. The pulse is still there. The pulse is still there. But goodness me, we have 2 huge games to recap and then 2 even bigger games to look forward to. So I'm excited.
Manchester City versus Liverpool, 2-2. Also, I probably should mention, Ta looks much better today than I do with the full suit. I kind of did him dirty a few weeks wearing the suit. He wasn't in a suit. Now I'm the one just wearing the kit.
I texted you this morning and I was like, Jack, are we going to go suit or no suit? And then you delayed the answer by an hour. So I was like, suit.
You pulled the trigger.
Suit it is.
And I said a bit later, I was like, no suit. I'm feeling a bit lazy today, no suit. Should have made the call. But Liverpool versus Manchester City was a thrilling match on Sunday. It was no shortage of drama. Liverpool, it was a really interesting one with Manchester City taking the lead. 5 minutes into the match, Kevin De Bruyne with a deflected shot off of Joel Matip that looped past Alisson, who had made a huge save against Raheem Sterling just moments before. Then Diogo Jota equalizing moments after before Jesus put City into the lead heading into the break. But Liverpool equalized within a minute out of the break, with Sadio Mane scoring the goal in the 46th minute, which would prove to be the final one. Liverpool 2, Manchester City 2. Ta, I mean, it was a tough one for the heart rate, obviously. How did you view it, and how did you kind of like that match?
Absolutely end-to-end stuff. Like you mentioned, the heart was beating, the heart was racing throughout the match. I thought that Liverpool came out quite uncharacteristic, looked very vulnerable in the back. You don't usually see Van Dijk missing 5-10-yard passes to Robertson. Trent switched off multiple times, and that led to the second goal going in by Jesus. It was Trent allowing him to creep behind his back to the goal. And then I thought that Manchester City were by far the better side in the first half. They could have easily scored 3-4 goals. They set the tone early on with their press, and Liverpool just had no answers for them. If it wasn't for Diogo Jota's effort that somehow sneaked in after Edison couldn't punch it away, I thought Liverpool could have been down 3-0 heading into the break, and it would have been title wrapped up for Manchester City if that was the case. All of a sudden, Liverpool came out in, less than a minute, Sadio Mane equalized, and the momentum completely shifted. The Reds could have took on the lead. Other chances, Salah, Mane, and then Diaz when he was introduced didn't look super lively, but also when it was against the run of play, he had the ability to drive forward with the ball and then drag some City players towards him. So I thought that it was a game of 2 halves. First half, all City. Second half, Liverpool could have came away with 3 points, but in the end, a fair result, a 2-2 draw. And I think both teams would take it. Manchester City, you still enter the game with 1 point ahead, and you leave the game with 1 point ahead. While for Liverpool, you enter the game knowing that you could go up 2, but you also could be down 4. Yeah. So you meet them in the middle, and given how dominant City were, I thought Klopp would happily take a point at the end of the day.
Yeah, happily take a point. It means that the City still control their destiny in the title race. If they win their final 7 matches, title's theirs. It's a second straight and a 4th in 5 years from Pep Guardiola, which would be a remarkable achievement. For Liverpool, you got to keep the pressure on with matches against Manchester United and Everton coming up. It was a great, thrilling match. There was a lot of moments of controversy. I want to talk about the man that I'm looking at in the little preview graphic, Thiago. Should he have seen red in that match? There was a couple of numerous ones. I believe we were on the post-match together, Tom, if I'm not mistaken. Where do you kind of stand a few days removed on the refereeing performance, the decisions, the non-decisions that existed in that match?
Would have been harsh to see Thiago get sent off for that because it was an effort that followed up after he was fouled. So we've seen it many times, how Van Dijk got hurt. You got to stop, after the whistle gets blown. The ball dies, everything that happens afterwards ends. So if you carry over that way of thinking, then no card. That was the right call.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting one, a match of high, stakes. really close margins, tight margins, and I think that it's reflective of how tough it is to win trophies, that there were so many moments in this match and in recent matches that Liverpool could have seen them drop points, knocked out of competitions, if one or two things went slightly differently. A lot of fortune is required to be on for a quadruple, and you say on for the quadruple with this result, which is, I think, all you can really ask for, to be honest, Ta.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can ask for a ton more, especially considering the dominance that Man City held. We'll talk about looking ahead to the match at Wembley next weekend in a moment, but at the Etihad they looked unbelievable. So I agree with you. A draw is what Klopp would take. In terms of your optimism for the title still, though, where do you stand on the title chances for Liverpool?
I view it as 1 point gain rather than 2 points dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Liverpool are in a tougher position given the run-in of games. City don't have a top team left on their schedule, so I think it's the pressure will be on City now. It's City's to lose, and Klopp probably prefers that in some way, because if you actually win the match, and of course everyone wants to win the match to go 2 points clear, but there's no room to almost slip now. Whereas if the rest of the season, City go perfect, Liverpool go perfect, Klopp can hold his hands up and say, we've beaten the teams that are hovering around that top 5, top 6 area. I know we've slipped against Brentford, Brighton at home, things like that. Obviously, that's the biggest reason that Liverpool aren't top right now. But you've done everything in your power to be where you are. And City's just been the better side. At the end of the day, you just got to accept the fact that, hey, throughout the season, they're better. And it's going to be a replica of what happened in 18 and 19. So you played City twice in the same season. You didn't lose to them at all. And Klopp will probably say, yeah, that's what it's down to at the end of the day. Liverpool still have the FA Cup and still have the Champions League to go for as of the time of the recording. So, yeah, I think it's still on for the Premier League. City are just an amazing side, and you just got to live in that world.
Yeah, I understand your perspective on that. I understand that general perspective of you went out, you can kind of hold your hands up. But after 18-19, man, I would have loved for it to be in our control. And I get that the pressure would have been on. But the pressure's still on. You're still in a title race. You still have to win every match down the road. That doesn't change if you win, lose, or draw. That still is always going to be the case. I would have preferred to make it where all your wins lead to a title rather than all your wins lead to something depending on what another team does. I never liked that sense of uncertainty. But it is what it is, and there are some big matches coming up that we'll preview one in a moment. But let's talk about the most recent match that happened yesterday from the time of recording. Liverpool, Benfica, 3-3 on the day, 6-4 Liverpool on aggregate. I mean, just 10 goals is not what you probably expected from the aggregate tie going into it. But a much rotated side, 7 players coming out. You can't be much happier. It was a case of doesn't matter how ugly it is. In the knockouts now, they've lost 1-0 to Inter, and they've they've drawn Benfica 3-3 at home. That's not great home form, but you've advanced twice. And Klopp said after the match, if there's ever a day where I'm unhappy after advancing to a semifinals of the Champions League, someone can punch me. And I'm glad no one has to punch Klopp because everyone should be over the moon. I'm interested in your perspective on the match.
Job done at the end of the day, right? Liverpool entered the match knowing that a draw or even a defeat by 1 goal would be enough, and that's what they came away with at Anfield. You look at the stats at the end of the game, Liverpool dominated the shots category, the possession category, and it was a carbon copy of the first leg when Liverpool were up 3-1 almost. It's just at the end of the day, it was a 3-3 result at Anfield, but it's 6-4 when you combine the two scores. And I look at it more on the bright side. Switching off at the last 15-20 minutes shouldn't really tarnish what Liverpool have done in the match, because if you said going into this one, you can still lose by 1 goal, but you come away with a 3-3 draw, you take it any other day of the week. Nobody cares that it's not a win at Anfield. So, great performance overall from a rotated side. Virgil van Dijk didn't start. Salah got the rest up top. Thiago didn't play off the get-go. So, what more can really be said about that performance? I think as long as Liverpool don't switch off like that against Villarreal, let's book your flights to Paris, man.
You really have to be thankful. I mean I'm glad Villarreal knocked out Bayern.
Mm-hmm.
I get Villarreal are a very stout defensive side. They're very compact, hard to break down. I'm always going to take Villarreal facing them over Bayern Munich. They have too much talent. Maybe their system has a few flaws, a few kinks in the armor. I'm still always preferring to take on a side like Villarreal than Bayern. That's no disrespect to them.
Yeah.
That's just that historically and talent-wise, investment-wise, Bayern are a grade above Villarreal. So this was all you need to do was get through. And after that Villarreal result, it was important that you weren't complacent, because you kind of almost saw like, wow, Inter, Benfica, Villarreal as a knockout trio is really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you ask for.
It doesn't come any easier than this for Liverpool. You look at the previous season, whether it's 18-19, 17-18, the teams that we have to play to get to just the semifinals. 18-19, we drew Bayern since the round of 16. And then in 17-18, we had to play City in the quarterfinals. It's looking pretty comfortable to Paris.
It is indeed. And so, there's a chance to go to an actual Cup final on the weekend with the FA Cup semifinals at Wembley between Manchester City and Liverpool, 10:30 a.m. our time here in the United States, 3:30 p.m. over in the United Kingdom. It's round 2, just a week later. Who do you think benefits most from having the quick turnaround in terms of, time to think about the last result?
Liverpool, 100%. What City had to endure at Atletico. I mean, was that Atletico side? Were they playing WWE or was that a football match?
Yes.
The final 5 minutes of the match, not including additional time.
Next 15 minutes of extra time. Yeah.
Goodness me. I mean, I wasn't sure what I was watching because it looked more of a street fight than a game. But Liverpool, for sure, they played on the same Sunday. Then they played again on Wednesday on the same day, and they play together on Saturday. So with that timeline, given the type of match the two sides played, 100% benefited Liverpool. Liverpool were able to rest the key players, recuperate, came away with no injuries at all. Meanwhile, Manchester City, I'm not sure if Kyle Walker will be ready. He got subbed off in his match. And
De Bruyne as well.
Yeah, De Bruyne as well. So City looked like a team that went through war midweek. Meanwhile, Liverpool went to almost just a cup match, not even a Champions League match, almost like an FA Cup match that they didn't have to win at the end of the day. Meanwhile, City had to hold on, make sure that Atletico didn't get that goal that would extend it to the extra period. So I think the quick turnaround, the momentum shifts towards Liverpool.
Yeah, I imagine if entering the match, you would have said maybe 50-50, maybe slightly edging City. I think with the knocks, just the amount of energy that match must have drawn out of them, that sapped out of them, Liverpool, I think, should be favorites heading into that one. I want to get into kind of lineups and prediction that you want to see, Ta. After seeing that lineup last weekend, I know Jota scored.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him in the lineup again. I want to see, I think Firmino, I don't know if he will since he started the midweek match.
Yeah.
I think he needs to play a much bigger role. If it's not, starting the match, got to be on much earlier, because Jota and Mane at times, Jota especially, but Mane at times, their inability to link up the play and give up possession cheaply up front hurt us badly. Because City, we saw them be able to, when they could dominate possession, it was like a ticking time bomb. They would have the runners from deep and break Liverpool down. I think that's a big change I would like to see. I might even want to see Kate to start instead of Henderson, but I don't think either will happen, to be honest. I'm interested in what you want to see, Tom.
The back five picks itself. There is a reason that Virgil van Dijk got the break.
You think Matip?
Yeah, I still go with Matip over Konate. I know Konate has scored 2 games in a row against Benfica. First player since like Crouch who's done that, where he scored like first leg and second leg against a team. But still, against tough teams, I think Matip proves himself to be calm enough. Konate is still a young player, so when the margins are very, very fine and you can't mess up at all defensively, I'm still going to pick Joel Matip. and Virgil van Dijk will just slot back in, right back, left back. There's a case to be made for Tsimikas, but Tsimikas still switches off too many times against the top teams. So Robbo's there at the left, Trent back at the right. Midfield trio. It's 2 out of 3 guaranteed for me. I think Fabinho gets a redemption because he was awful in that first half against City, but calmed down towards the second half. So Fabinho gets back in, and Thiago got a rest midweek, so he gets back into the starting 11. Will we see the NFT again, or will we see Henderson?
I think we will see Henderson, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm going to throw a wild card out there. Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Oh, no, please, Jack. No, Jack, this isn't the round of 16 or round of 32 in the FA Cup. This is the semi-final against Manchester City. When's the last time Oxlade-Chamberlain played at least a 7 out of 10 performance, please? Let me know.
He's had some good performances this year, man.
Against who?
In that right center mid spot. I can't even name them individually, to be honest with you. But look, I think he may almost have like flashbacks to that banger he scored back in, what was it, 2018?
You know, what's funny is that he still talks about that like it's happened yesterday. Mate, that was 5 years ago. Yeah. You and I didn't even know each other back then. I mean, no chance. It's either Hendo or Keita. I'm going to go with Hendo. I think that Keita can come on and do what he tried to do against City last week. So I'm going to go with Hendo, Fabinho, and Thiago. And up top, I'll agree with you. We go with the OG front three. I'm going to switch it up. Jota loses the ball too many times in most games. I know he scores, but you want to start... Controlled, yes. You want to start controlling the tempo, trying to establish the press early on against Manchester City. That totally didn't work at all the last time we played them at the Etihad. So when it's a cup semifinal, you want to go out there with players who know what to do.
Yeah, and you've got, I think Luis Diaz could be a guy that comes on 60 minutes. If Kyle Walker's not playing, that kind of pace at right back is lost. I'm not sure what they would probably do. Maybe have Zinchenko at left back, Cancelo back at right back, something like that.
Yeah.
Is Ruben Diaz still going to be out? I believe he might be coming back potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
That'd be an interesting one as well. I'm fascinated with what happens to. I think Ox might start, man. He might get an appearance, and it'd be a really out of left field one, and it would almost be like similar to the Naby Keita versus Real Madrid last year, where he had no appearances, dropped out of nowhere, and then had a stinker. Love him. I'm Naby's biggest fan. Yeah. He had a stinker probably because he didn't play for weeks, but he had a poor performance, and that led to that. So, what's your prediction for the match, Ta? And since it's obviously FA Cup, we go to extra time, and then penalties. Where are you seeing this match go?
Last week, I went for a Liverpool 5-4 win. Definitely was nowhere near in terms of the scoreline. They did score like 4 goals still, but I mean, nowhere near the 9 I predicted. So I'm going to go completely opposite. I'm going to go with a 1-0
for
Liverpool.
Who scores?
Luis Diaz, why not?
Ooh.
Luis Diaz off the bench.
Does he repeat the Porto goal he scored where he dribbles across the entire team?
I would go crazy if that happens. Jack, what about you?
I'm going to go... I don't see this match ending in regulation. I think it ends in extra time or even penalties. I'm going to go all the way to penalties.
Wow.
I think it's 1-1, and late on in the match, both teams are dead tired, and they're not going to be exposing themselves too much to end it before penalties. And I think that Liverpool will take it on penalties.
Whoa.
I think Liverpool will take it on penalties. They'll take it 4-2 on penalties. Alisson will make some big stops at the spot, and they'll edge it ever so slightly.
You mentioned penalties. The last time Liverpool and City played each other at Wembley, it went to penalties. City won that one. It was the 2019 Community Shield 5-4. You guess who missed the penalty for Liverpool?
Oh, who did?
Doesn't play for Liverpool anymore.
Goodness me. Jorginho Wijnaldum.
Yes.
That's a throwback. It would be interesting without Kelleher and net with the penalties. He obviously didn't save one, but he won the shootout because he scored a penalty. So I don't even want to mention him because he missed or didn't save any penalties. But
do we pull a Chelsea and then
you can't after he didn't save
119 minutes? Klopp just says, Ali, come off. And Kelleher's just warming up.
You know who you bring on? You bring on Adrian.
Oh, no.
You bring on Adrian.
No, Jack.
That would
Don't do that.
People would be fuming. They'd be like, "What on earth?" But like, genuinely, he made some big penalty saves. The Super Cup. That's
one save. He made one save with his leg, with his trailing leg against Abraham. That's all he's done.
Yeah.
No.
We'll see. I've had some dodgy picks. Adrian is the super sub and Oxlade-Chamberlain to start, but I think Liverpool will advance on penalties, which will prime up another match against a Manchester foe, against Manchester United at home in the league, the reverse fixture of the 5-0 win Liverpool had back in the fall, back when our good friend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was still the manager. I miss him a lot.
Ole's at the wheel.
Now they're getting Erik ten Hag of Ajax,
who's an incredible manager.
He's a much better manager. So I'm kind of sad. I miss my man who was not very good at his job, Ole. But, I mean, Manchester United they're beatable. Liverpool should handle it, I think. To be honest. What do you expect in that one in terms of opposition, in terms of lineups? I guess kind of your general thoughts ahead of that one.
It's against some mid-table club, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday we're playing some mid-table team.
Yeah, some just average side.
Look, I think people can hype it up all they want that it's Liverpool and Man U, but these two sides are miles apart this season. And I mean, I don't recall Liverpool and Man U during my time as a Liverpool supporter being this far apart. I mean, probably Liverpool can win it by at least 3 goals if Liverpool put out their strongest side. We're talking about a Man United side who they've not won a match since I was in England for spring break. And they've not won back-to-back games since Valentine's. So, I mean, we're sitting here halfway through April and talking about a side who have absolutely collapsed this season, whether it's with Ole, whether it's with Rangnick. I mean, they're just waiting for the season to end. I think that if Liverpool put on 80% of their strongest players, it should easily be a win by at least 2 goals. I don't think Man United had anything in them at all. Ronaldo, on his day, is still an incredible player. There's still some options who can threaten us on the counterattack, but I don't see it happening. And Liverpool have not lost at home to Man United since 2016, Klopp's first season in charge. Wayne Rooney got the winner that day, and since then, Liverpool's home form against United have just been either a win or a draw. So I think everything points towards a thumping come Tuesday.
Ronaldo's only good nowadays at smacking little kids' hands. He's not good. I know you're a big Ronaldo guy, but
no.
I'm not a Ronaldo guy. I'm not a Ronaldo fan in the slightest.
Okay.
I'm Team Messi all the way. Let us know in the comments. Messi or Ronaldo.
Yes, let us know in the comments.
The most fun debate that has never been done before.
Yeah.
I totally agree, though, with everything else you said, Todd. You know, United have a few threats that they can pose. It'll always be a tough match. It'll always be emotional because it's Liverpool, Man United.
Yeah.
There will always be some sort of bridging of the talent gap because there's so much energy, so much fire in there for Manchester United. So you cannot let the foot off the gas, but it brings me to an interesting perspective I saw after the City-Liverpool match last weekend, which was that, yes, Liverpool have tough matches, you know, United at home, Everton at home, Spurs at home, and then you got a few tough away matches to end the year against Villa and Southampton, and those will be high stakes regardless. Those matches, you don't need to dig anywhere to bring up a good performance. Those matches demand that of you. Yeah. So that will never be the issue for Liverpool of wondering, you know, will they get complacent? Will anything like that happen? That won't happen. I agree with you, Todd. I think that Liverpool should handle it pretty comfortably. I think that they will handle it comfortably. I think that we will see, especially after the City match, more control exerted. I won't say a 3-goal match. I'll say it's going to be 2-0 Liverpool. I'm going to say Salah gets 1 and Jota gets another 1 against United. What is your prediction for that match?
I think it's going to be 3-0. 3-0 Liverpool. Jota, Salah, Firmino. Nice. Why not?
Is that the starting front 3?
Yeah, starting front 3 for that game as well. I think you still go with Salah. I know that he's not scored from open play since way, way back. But every time he plays, he provides a mismatch for us.
He's a threat.
He's a threat, yeah. And Jota, you give him a chance in the 18-yard box, he's going to score. Mane has been living it up. He's starting to convert the chances he should convert. So I think those three will start. It's a Premier League game as well. It's a must-win game given what's going on with Manchester City. So I think I approach this one just like any other match. There's that element that it's Man United and you want to go out there, you want to kill them. But if you have a chance to maybe rotate the midfield or at least one defensive player in our back line, then do it. Because there's so much more to play for this season, especially if we take care of City, then approach this match as almost a rotation game.
Yeah. Manchester City will be taking on Brighton the next day. So it's another chance to put the pressure on. You got even if you get a point, you know, and you never want to get a point. But if you get a point, a defeat for Manchester City means that you go top.
Oh, can you imagine this? Like, Neil Maupay for the win!
Man, it's signs are pointing. Man City at home to Villa at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Coutinho, Gerrard.
You could imagine if like Coutinho just like bends one and takes off his shirt and it says like, "I love Liverpool."
bring me back LFC. That would go over very well for everyone involved.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be. I mean, we say it every week. The complexion of the season will look so different when we next sit down to do a podcast in a week's time. When we sat down a week ago, it was 2 draws in between us. You know, City and Benfica, but 2 matches that again, the Man City one could have been better, obviously. But you're advancing to the semifinals of the Champions League. You're in the semifinals of the FA Cup. Still in with a great chance at the Premier League. It's going to be a fantastic end of the season, Ta. And I'm really excited to see where we're at in a week's time, previewing that match against Everton, the most tough team to stretch the rest of the season.
Moment of silence.
If they get relegated, that would be...
Memes.
I mean, they would be never ending. It would never ending. But that is going to do it for Scousers Abroad. That's been Ta. I've been Jack. We do this every Thursday evening, coming out Fridays to give you the insight that you need from us Scousers Abroad about what's happening with Liverpool over there in the United Kingdom. But that's going to do it for today's episode. We'll be back previewing Everton and reviewing the matches we just talked about today. Make sure to subscribe to the LFC Transfer Room, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.
Peace.